Hey everyone, I am Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and this video is all about at least in my opinion, the top 5 oracle decks to use for career, attracting abundance, or life purpose type of readings. I do read professionally, so I do have to have some go-to decks for particular topics, and these are the ones I find that I grab over and over again. They're just 5. There are times when I use other decks, but these are the main ones. And I also will be having some honorable mentions. The honorable mentions are out of print decks, but I assure you that the decks that are listed in the top 5 are ones that you can get that would definitely serve the purpose of those out of print decks. And I may also mention a couple of tarot decks, but this is all about top 5 oracle decks. So if this interests you, definitely hit that like button. Stay tuned past my little intro, settle in and enjoy. All right, be right back. So let's get the honorable mentions out the way, because I'll be mentioning them from time to time throughout this video, and as I go through my list of the top 5, I will say, okay, this is, if you don't have this particular out of print deck, this is what you can use instead. So let's talk about them. The first one I want to mention is Doreen Virtue's Life Purpose Oracle decks. Now, it is out of print. If you have them, you probably know all about them. And if you've kept them, you probably really like this deck. If you can get your hands on this deck, it is a really good one. I know we all have mixed feelings about Doreen Virtue, which is why this wasn't going to make the top 5, but I did need to mention it because I do use this deck, the Life Purpose Oracle, and I'll show you the other honorable mentions. So it has cards like children and then a little key phrase or sentence there about children, yoga. I've been meaning to make my own deck for my own personal use to replace this Life Purpose Oracle, similar to what I did with the Romance Angels. So I did a video a while back, a good long while back, on oracle decks that I used in love readings, and the Romance Angels Oracle was one that I used. But over time, I moved away from using it because I came up with my own love oracle that I now use all the time. I even need a backup copy to my own copy. So I anticipate I'll be doing a similar thing here coming up. And I have created decks that kind of touch upon life purpose, but not really. Here's author. So I really like this deck because they have some things like travel, time to decide, let go, and then it gets specific again in writing, energy healing. She even has an oracle cards one, nutrition, leadership. So I foresee me coming up with my own personal use deck in the future for these type of readings, but I've been busy and I have to just use what I got. It has this little guidebook that's really good, but you really don't necessarily need it because it has the key phrases and the keywords at the top. So that's one of the honorable mentions. The others, by the same person, but you'll understand in a minute why I'm talking about them. So the other ones I use is like the Butterfly Oracle cards for life changes. I really love this deck. I use it for life purpose readings as well as, what's going on with me, this year, what's coming up for me, transformation wise. So it's great also for New Year's type readings. The guidebook is really where this card deck really just sings in terms of readings, because all you have really is keywords and then pictures of butterflies. Butterflies, love them. They're cute. I appreciate what they do for our ecosystems, but they don't do much for inspiration for me to say, okay, realizations and epiphanies. When I see this butterfly, I don't necessarily feel that. But the keywords and the guidebook is where this deck shines. So we have hobbies, religion and spirituality, retirement, and I suspect that I will also make a deck that kind of replaces this one, and then I will retire this one like I retired the Romance Angels Oracle. I don't use the Romance Angels at all. Family changes. Not that I wouldn't, and it is a great deck if you have it, as you probably know if you have it, but I just needed a more modern deck anyway for my love readings. Join in. Take the next step now. Can't really see it. Sorry for the poor lighting, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. End of an era. So I'll stop showing those, but I have done videos on these decks before if you want to check out more of my Doreen Virtue collection. And this particular deck, because it's one of my favorites, then check it out. And then the last one to mention of hers is the Angels of Abundance Oracle. And I'm hoping that this one will actually get a reprint. And the reason I say that is because it was co-written with, I think, her son. And it's so worn now on the box. And I don't know if I'll retire. I don't know if I'm going to retire using this one anytime soon. I like it a lot. It is Grant Virtue. So I don't know. Maybe it might come back out on Hay House. I don't know. But this is a good one for, work-related type of readings as well, and particularly for attracting abundance. Declutter. Exercise to increase your energy and manifestation ability. Words of abundance. Face your financial fears. Positivity, faith, and optimism. Windfalls of abundance. So you get the idea of what these cards are about. And like I said, I'm pretty sure if I don't have a specific unboxing for this one, I know that I have videos talking about like the Doreen Virtue decks I'm going to continue to use video. That's one. I talk about it in favorites videos, I'm sure. So all you have to do is do a search of Angels of Abundance Oracle cards. And I'll be sure to leave the names in the description box so you can be able to look up these decks in my search of my channel, because chances are I've talked about them ad nauseum. All right, so those are the honorable mentions, and we can put those off to the side. Now let's move to the top 5. All right, so the first one I want to talk about is the Career and Money Oracle, which I purchased. I think her name is, I want to say Maruka X Shop. I'm not sure, but I will put a link in the description box. This is a newish one to my collection. I got this at the early part of the year and I love it. So I got it off of Etsy, out of the Etsy shop. Here's the backs. Typical like tarot size, but it's an oracle. It's a 100 card deck. It does use stock images and it is a little glossy, but it's been taking a beating. I've been using this deck a lot, not just for client readings, but also readings for myself. So it has 3 key phrases. There's no guidebook, but you don't need a guidebook. And what I usually tell clients is that either all 3 of these things could apply, none of them could apply. Usually they do though. Or 1 or 2 things could apply. And I will intuitively pick out what I think applies, but they're free to see what all applies to them, right? It's not just a reading, just us throwing meanings at them. I like to engage my clients and querents in the whole reading process so they feel empowered as well. I wanted to mention this one first because it really incorporates in all these 100 cards all the messages that were coming up in the Angels of Abundance, Butterfly Oracle cards for life changes, and so Angels of Abundance and Life Purpose. So all three of these really can be represented in this one deck. So you'll see what I mean. Let me show you. So student work with a mentor to learn new skills or teach you how to implement your plans. Number 2, you could be in school to pursue higher education or work for a school district. Hey. Number 3, teach yourself to succeed with money or get a financial advisor to teach you. So that's student, partnership, caution, charity, setbacks, arguments, transporter, which, you know, that could also represent the travel card and the life purpose oracle card, risk, networker, like that one, trust, mistakes, work hard in silence. So they have some of these kind of cards added as well. Voice. And check out I think it was a deck in focus, not an unboxing, but a deck in focus of this deck. And I'll try to remember to put the link in the description box so you can see that one as well. Animals. There's a veterinarian card in there, you know, in the life purpose oracle. Unclear. Let's see. There's something better. Unexpected. Change. Let's see. Unstable. Comfort. Envy. Parenthood. I mean, let's see. Leadership. Promoter. Retail. Work smart. A halt. Investment. Ask for help. Settling. Settling is a favorite message of mine because I feel like a lot of us just settle on things and just settle for the sake of being comfortable when that's not necessarily where we should be spending or putting our energy anymore. So I like this. The first bullet point is perhaps it's time to ask yourself if you're getting paid what you're worth. Number 2, don't settle for a dead-end job where you don't see any opportunity for growth. And number 3, though your money is stable, you are not making enough to keep you happy. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Designer, counselor. I mean, so you could see, I could go on and on and on and on. But I don't need to because I did I'm pretty sure I did a full flip through of this deck in the deck in focus that I recently did. So that is number 1 in the number 1 position because it really hits all the points, and you will just really need this one along with a good tarot. Speaking of a tarot deck that I often use throughout, whether it's career, life purpose, love, doesn't matter. I use the Light Seers and I use the Mass Market because I put a beaten on these cards. I am going to start getting familiar with my business class tarot. I don't have it here to show you, but I'm going to, maybe some point in the very far future, I have other decks for tarot study group already lined up, but it may be one that I either do a personal tarot study on so I can really get familiar with it so I can use it in business type of readings, or a tarot study group for those who have it and want to work with it, but that's going to come way down the line. But I wanted to mention the tarot decks because honestly, I could use any of my decks. I used to use the Luna Soul Tarot a lot for these kind of readings, these life purpose career readings. But as of late, ever since this deck came out, the Light Seers Mass Market, it's been the one I go to. My go-to tarot. Just another little honorable mention. Moving on to number 2. Oh, just watching the time. The next one I wanted to mention, and I've also done, I think I've done an unboxing. I don't know if it was a deck in focus or an unboxing, but this one is the Intuitive Life Coaching Oracle. And this one is by Kelly T. Smith. And I love this deck. It is definitely one that I love to go to for life purpose type of readings, for people who are struggling in their workplace, for people who essentially need some intuitive life coaching guidance. And this one definitely fits the bill. It is mass market produced. I purchased it on Amazon. It has a gorgeous thick guidebook. The only drawback that I see with the cards that a lot of people probably would agree with is the size and that it's glossy. Now, I don't mind that it's glossy, and I'm actually forgiving of the size because of the messages that come through and because I can use it in professional client readings. And I just like the look of it. I don't know, it feels textured. Here's recognition. And check out, I will try to remember to link some of the videos that I've done in the past for these decks, so you don't have to go fishing around. But if you ever are curious about a deck, you can always do the search within my channel and see what comes up, because I might have mentioned it in favorites videos in the past and talked all about it. That's resolved. Talked all about it. And so then you have different videos you can consult to really scope out a deck. I have to admit, I'm recording this in 2021 and I haven't really been doing a lot of shopping of decks. I've been really enjoying the decks that I have, and I'm going to probably continue to do so, but I have recorded lots of videos on decks, so you will probably find what you're looking for or something similar. Karma, the Journey, Seeker of Truth, Healing with Nature, Environment, Boundaries. Love that one. I'm always a fan of Boundaries cards. And Career Transition. One more. Automatic Negative Thoughts. It says, you are learning to take charge of the thoughts you choose to give life to. Isn't that powerful? And then the guidebook is amazing. It really is. I've consulted it not just for using it with, I think there was a spread or something in there I used that wasn't even, I used it as for tarot. I used a spread for tarot out of this book, this guidebook, and not necessarily use this deck for it. So great deck. And yeah, I really thoroughly enjoy it. I'm watching the time. Let's see, so we've talked about those. What else? Ooh, okay. Now this one, I'm going to definitely show you tell me I have it in here. I hope I do. I may not, and I'm sad if I didn't bring it. I don't think I did. And that's okay, but at least I have the deck. So what I did when I relocated and when I decided to be a little world traveler is I left a lot of the guidebooks, and I don't feel like I left this guidebook, but maybe I did. I left a lot of the guidebooks with their boxes at my parents' house because I wanted to keep them all together, the boxes with the books. And when I go back to the States, I'll, deal with them then and take what I can when I can. So this next deck, all I'm going to be able to show you is the actual deck, and I'm kind of bummed. But fortunately, you all can get this mass market, and I may end up getting the mass market, because I don't like beating up my indie decks. This is the Sacred Creators Oracle by Chris Ann Donnelly. She recently released this as mass market through Hay House, and like I said, I probably will be getting my own copy to use for professional client readings, saving this for myself, or just saving it and keeping it in pristine condition, and then matching it up with the box and book when I go back home in the summer. Okay, so we have overrate your intuition. This deck I like to use for life purpose readings, those who are working on their sacred businesses, you know, the woo-woo type businesses, even if they're not doing a woo-woo type business, it might be more traditional, so to speak. I will pull this one out. It just has beautiful energy to it, and I love her key phrases that she puts on here, and the guidebook is where this deck really shines. She pours her heart and soul into it, you can tell. And I'm not ashamed to bust out the guidebook when I'm working with this deck and working with a client and saying, you have to hear these messages and you have to receive some homework that's from this guidebook. So when we use this is, you know, soul on fire. I love that. This is quite special, and I don't just bust it out all the time for client readings, although that could change when I get the mass market. And the mass market will be great for me because it'll have the little guidebook. It won't have the big, massive guidebook that came with the indie version, but it should sustain me until I can get to my indie version, which I'm excited about. And I'm bummed because I thought for sure I'm going to check some other places when this video is over, but not going to do that now. Not going to do that now. So let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3 sacred creators. Okay, we have two more to talk about. Okay, so this one I talk about all the time. I've done a deck in focus, and this has come up in several favorites and month in review type videos that I've done throughout the years. I love this deck. This is my second copy. I've gifted it to folks, quite a few folks, and it's a Hay House deck. So you can get this deck for relatively cheap. It's by Judith Orloff, MD, and it doesn't have a guidebook. It doesn't need a guidebook because it has key phrases. This is a this is a great deck for when you want to wrap up the reading and you've done a tarot and oracle reading, whether it's career, life purpose, or abundance, it doesn't matter. We all have areas in us that we need to release and surrender to allow more of that which we want. And so this is a great deck to either help clarify a message or how I usually use it, sometimes for clarity, but most times for wrapping up the reading, like the bow on the present, or tying up everything and bringing it down to one important message, a takeaway message for the client. Surrender to spirit. We'll just go through a few of them. Surrender to prayer. Surrender to your full power. Surrender unhealthy relationships. And as you can see, this is a deck that you can use for all types of readings, not just these types. Surrender to complete healing. Surrender to what is. Surrender negative thinking. Surrender the habit of people pleasing. I'm going to stop there, but you can see how this would be very helpful for a workplace type of reading, for example. You know, so, or any type of reading, really and truly. I'm always going to probably bust this one out in a top whatever video because I use it a lot. It delivers and I love it very much. All right, so then the final one, maybe a surprise to some. This is the Archetype Cards by Carolyn Miss, and I actually have recorded an unboxing of this a long time ago, but I haven't published it yet. Some of you guys know I have quite a few unpublished unboxings that I still need to publish. So what I'll do is I will also publish that at the same time that I publish this video, so you have that. But just know I've owned this deck a good long while, and sorry guys, I just now getting around to publishing it. You know how it is. So many decks, so little time. This deck is by Carolyn Miss, and it's also a Hay House deck. And this is one I do from time to time use for love readings primarily, like looking at what archetypal energies each partner is bringing to the relationship, or what type of archetypal energies a new potential suitor might be, demonstrating, Or, you know, so you could see how it could work in love readings, you know, or how are you both showing up in arguments, for example. In career readings, they're great because you could talk about, with these cards, what archetypal energies should you bring forward and should you, you know, really show off in an interview? What are some that maybe you need to pull back and maybe check out and maybe just move away from in that interview? So you have servant. You could do the reverse or upright because there's a light attribute or a shadow attribute. So for example, for the rescuer, we have light attribute, provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. But the shadow attributes to the rescuer is assumes that the rescued will reciprocate, keeps the rescued one needy. So I call this the martyr syndrome. And oftentimes in the workplace, we can find ourselves in this rescuer type of archetypal energy. And then there's great things that come with that. You know, we save the day and we, you know, people love to recognize that. But when we don't get that recognition or when we are not getting that energy reciprocated, how does that leave us feeling? So this archetypal card can help with that in the workplace. So we have mother. Are you the den mother in the workplace? Is, you know, in an interview, what attributes could you really play up? You are nurturing, patient, you know, unconditional love, depends on the type of work you're doing. Joy in giving birth to life. Shadow attributes to the mother, though, is smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent. Ooh, that's a good one. So this is one of those decks that you could use. You could use in any type of reading. Seeker, warrior, mystic, mentor, dilettante, athlete. And there is a student card here. Student, pioneer. There's a slave archetype in here as well. Gambler archetype. So there's so many different archetypes. I think this is an 80 card deck, but there's like a few cards I think that are like dead, like blank cards, but this is a lot of cards to go through that you could use in your career or job seeker or life purpose type readings or career troubleshooting issue readings. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, guys. I've tried to keep this video as short as possible, but I wanted to give a updated view. I don't know if I've ever even done a top 5 oracles deck for this subject matter, but now here it is. And I love to hear from you. What are the decks that you use for these types of scenarios and readings? We would love to hear from you in the comments below. Share, because we could learn something from each other, and maybe there's a deck that really actually drives home the messages, and we want to hear from you. So comment. I can't wait to read them. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me. Take good care, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.